Hello and welcome back to Raywood Acres. So today we're going to talk mass communications. I've talked this in the past. Of course, we're going to talk it primarily around the LilyGo, LoRa, T-beam setups that I have. I have four. One's damaged. I got to do order some parts and fix that one. The screen part got damaged. But I have a few announcements as related to these kind of niche radio communications. If you don't know, I am an amateur radio operator. I have my license. I actively participate in a Aries group. However, I've always noted, because I'm a big advocate of preparedness, that there's kind of a communications has always been one of the people's usually weakest area. We primarily rely on cell phones, which cell phones are great devices, right? They work awesome. We use them in our everyday life. They've empowered us to do many great things. And our telecommunications industry has done some stuff to like mobile towers and things like that, to be able to restore cell service in affected areas after a disaster. They've gone a long ways with that, and I applaud them for those efforts. And however, I think there's still a place for something like this, because you can use them in your everyday life. They can increase your security because they are decentralized. They're off the grid, in essence, that your phone doesn't have to have a cell service to use one. And they're encrypted. So yes, could something like this be compromised? Of course it could. There's always weaknesses. Your probably number one weakness is your phone that's connected to it. So, but mesh overall is, as far as I know, was initially developed, mesh communications, for the military, and it is used within the military. It's still not widely used within the military, mainly in the special operations community. But because of the cost, I think is the biggest thing. So on to some of my announcements. So as I continue to explore using these, I kind of put them on the shelf for a little while, and I recently attended a Thrivalist Fair in Northeast Washington, and I noticed there, because the main theme was homesteading, preparedness, things that we do here on Ravenwood Acres, and there was no communications classes or anything. And I thought, well, yeah, you could give the good old ham classes, but the barriers to entry are usually too much, at least for a whole family. So that, therefore, in my past emergency communications series of videos, I primarily discussed using GRMS, which I still think is a very off-the-shelf viable option, but it doesn't provide you the full capabilities of a mesh network could provide you if you're willing to put in a little effort. So my plan is, I'm going to kind of add a tab or modify my emergency communications tab on my website, theravenwoodacres.com, and eventually I will start providing some products related to mesh communications, or these T-beams and others, because there's other types of LoRa devices, and provide those for sale. And of course, here on YouTube, I'll provide another channel where we're kind of going to go through, try to remove some of those barriers to entry, right? The complicated part of, this thing looks, complicated, right? It's a circuit board, and it's got blinking lights and wires hanging off of it. And what is this little thing, right? That's a GPS antenna. Because I'm getting ready to put them in these mounts, or in these cases. So here's a case that I got. Etsy's kind of your number one source for a lot of these. I mean, I think some of these people probably do have websites, but This one I had to do some work on. I still kind of do. It fits really tight. I was really worried about damaging stuff, so I've got to do a little work there. But so the other announcement part is I have one on order, 3D printer, and I'm going to start making my own cases and providing those as a service to the community. So I need some good coffee here. So another simple way to add in cases, right, is buy one of these like waterproof Pelican cases. You got to do a little drilling. Got to have some tools and stuff to set one up. But you know, you can take one of these, put it in there. Of course, this doesn't have a battery or anything. Put a bulkhead SMA. Geez, man, it's so early. Connector through the side of the case, and then you can mount your antenna. You know, say up here like this, and you're up and running. Or in essence, you got to program the device like this one here. It's not even. I think it's version 1, and they're up to like 2 point something on my most recent ones. But that's going to be a service that's going to be available, and I will try to create a series of videos that are kind of how-tos to go into the details of setting them up, downloading the software, updating software, setting up your own channels on there, setting up your devices, naming your devices. Like I, of course, you know, just got to be branding here, right? This is, you know, Raven 1, so when I receive a message, it says, you know, Raven. You can see there, Raven Net. I just named it that, right? Which actually works pretty good if you think about branding, because ravens, at least in some TV shows, were used as deliver messages. So you see this, and it'll just say R1, which was Raven 1, or R2 if I receive a message back from the other device. I'm not going to go too much. I'll link the video here where I talk a little bit more about what a mesh communication is and how it works. But just in essence, is think of lots of these floating around all around in a network, and then some. The bigger that network, the more of these in that network, the larger area you can have coverage. And you know, you send your messages via basically an SMS text on a device, on an app, on your phone, or you can do other setups for PC and stuff like that and have a home-based setup, which is kind of cool. There's a lot of new things. It's all open source through Meshtastic, and I'll link, of course, Meshtastic here in the video. So I'm going to bump the table, bump the camera, but down there's LilyGo has their own website. You can, of course, go on like AliExpress and other things like that in order. But I currently have experience with all the LilyGo stuff, so that's what I'm kind of just sticking with for now. There's a new chipset. I guess it's got a little more output power, so I'm going to give that a shot. See if we can get a little more range. Order a few more of those devices. Have some new ones. I'll put some imagery here in. But there's even like wrist mounted setups that now that are basically like a little smartwatch that you could receive your messages on, and it's of course connected to your phone. So I think the possibilities endless. Oh, by the way, I won't show it here just for OPSEC, but there's a mapping feature too. So you could plug one of these in, you know, have it in, or a smaller one with a child, and now you know where your child is, your spouse, whatever, team members, whatever your situation is. So yeah, so there's lots of new products out there. I will be doing some builds. I will demonstrate those, or show you the videos in those builds as I work along on, you know, getting more proficient with this system, because there's a lot to learn, because it does change quite a bit. But our whole goal here at Ravenwood Acres will be to, through this YouTube channel, will be to remove some of those barriers to entry and provide kind of a more off-the-shelf product to you, the consumer or customer, or hopefully future customers. So to close out, I should receive my printer in the next month. I've got a really busy schedule as I'm getting ready to separate from the Army and retire. But in my free time, I will be working on learning how to use that 3D printer better. And I, of course, will be sharing some of that. So I wouldn't expect that I'll have anything to be able to put up on the website for sale for at least 2 to 3 months. So by the end of the year, we should probably be able to produce some stuff in state, right? Or the next step is in-person events. I think our goal right now will be to attend Thrivalist Fair next year, so Memorial Day weekend 2024, and show off the capabilities of this and have maybe some available for purchase there off the shelf, ready to go, all set up. There's also a whole name thing with like a node, one to set up somewhere like in your local area that helps basically act as a relay. That will be a future video, but that's what this case is actually going to be used for. That'll be my first one, and then I'll build some with the 3D printer. Some other goals for in-person event, maybe Self-Reliance Festival in Canton, Tennessee. The spring one, that might be pushing it, but possible. We'll see. So it's usually, I think, March, April timeframe. So we'll see what happens with that. And then maybe we'll start doing some lives with this if I get enough interest, because then we can do a little more Q&A. But if you do have any questions, obviously feel free to put them down below. Like, subscribe, check out our website, theravenwoodacres.com. I'll link a playlist here too for my emergency communication series. That might help answer some of your questions. And don't forget, have a great day and stay tuned for more.